Angeles, California, and the home of the LA 36 studios. I'm your host, Steve Calhoun of the Armed and Dangerous podcast. I have another special guest coming to you this week. I cannot say enough great things about this young man. Well, not really young. He's actually 32 right now, but he's one of my original Jedis from the roots of the tree. Let me welcome in the starting quarterback from the Montreal Alouettes in the CFL, Cody Fajardo. Hey, welcome to the show.
Yo, what's up, man? Hey, man, the studio's street here. I like it. Look at fancy.
Yeah, come on, man. Hey, I remember I used to train you in the at Loera High School on grass fields with no lines and all those things. So I've come a long way. You've come a long way. It's been awesome to see you grow as a man, a father, as a quarterback. So, hey, we're going to jump right into it. First of all, congratulations on being the MVP of the Grey Cup of the CFL last year. Is that your first Grey Cup in the CFL since you've been there?
Second, first as a starter, second as a player, but first as a starter. And you know, it means a lot more when you get as the starter.
Of course.
The work you put in, the blood, the sweat, the tears. That ring means a little bit more to me than the first one.
Absolutely. So now, just hey, you guys are off to another great start. You guys are the defending Grey Cup champions. You guys are 5-1 right now. Your team's rolling. What's the mindset of the team? I mean, you guys have a lot of players back that was on the championship team, and that's how you guys are able to keep it rolling right now?
Yeah, which is really rare in the CFL. So for many of the fans that don't notice or don't watch much CFL, a lot of these guys sign one-year deals. So every single year in free agency, you're just trying to recruit your own players back because they're all trying to go elsewhere to the teams that weren't very good. They give them a lot of money. So the biggest thing was we retained our core guys, and we were able to be ahead of schedule through training camp, through the beginning part of the season, because it's just the camaraderie we had, what we built the year before. And when you win a championship with a group, the relationship you have is a little bit different, a little bit more special than just being a teammate prior years. So off to a 5-1 start. We're playing good football right now, but it's a long season, 18 games. Got to keep it rolling so that by the end of the year, you're on the driver's seat and try to get that first round bye. So you got to win one game and back to the Grey Cup.
No doubt about it. I think, like you said, you had a lot of adversity throughout your career. I'm going to take my viewers back to when we actually first met. You were a young sophomore at Servite High School, and we're going into that season. We had a lot of big-name players from Matt Khalil and DJ Shoemate and so many five-star prospects. And as we're going through the summer, Coach Short Thomas asked me, hey, who should be the quarterback running this team? And I told him I said, Cody Fajardo's not even close. But he loved the fact that he wanted seniors. So Johnny McEntee, hey, big shout out to Johnny. But he wanted a senior-driven team with a senior quarterback. But I thought for sure that you were the guy to lead our team. And, we fell short in the playoffs. And then the next year, you actually take over. You guys win CIF championship, won state championship. You're California State Player of the Year. And I'm just like, I said that a year ago. I know I said that a year ago. But no one listened to me. It fell on deaf ears. But that was an awesome time. Talk to me a little bit about your time at Servite and how it shaped you into the man that you are today.
Absolutely. Well, they got to know Yoda knows ball. Come on, you got to listen to Yoda when he's talking about football. So I appreciate that. But I always tell people going to Servite was the best decision I'd ever made because my parents sent me there, and I fought tooth and nail. I didn't want to go there. But it was the best decision I never made because I was able to form relationships I have with guys and with you and people I would have never crossed paths with if I wasn't a part of Servite. They've done so much for me and getting me ready for the college level. I think the biggest thing that you kind of take for granted when you're there was how hard Servite is. But then when you get to college, you're like, this is almost eye to eye in terms of how hard the classes are, how much time demanding it is. Like we couldn't leave campus early. We had to be there from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. And when you're on a college campus, and you're taking 2 classes a day, it's a little bit easier, but you're on there for football. And it's long days. So I'm very thankful for my time in Servite, and I wish I was played earlier. I think back then I was a little bit ahead of my time in terms of smaller running quarterback. I call myself smaller because I'm not 6'5", but I think a 3-year starter in California gets a little bit more attention than a 2-year starter in terms of recruiting. So Obviously, that year I wish I had played a little bit more, but I did everything I could with the time I was given, and I'm very thankful for the people that just poured into me throughout my Servite experience. And I wouldn't be where I'm at today without guys like you and without Servite High School.
Good deal. Okay, I know all my viewers want to know, can you still do the hut drill? Can you remember?
Yeah, I think I could. You know,
Yeah.
you could do it. See, you've seen it so many dang times. I think you could do it too.
No, definitely. Now, so you get done with your high school career. You said that, you think that a 3-year starter gets more recognition than a 2-year starter, but in your junior year, I mean, you're a California State Player of the Year, and you guys won the state championship. I would think that would be enough for college coaches and evaluators to be like, okay, this guy can play. Look what he did. I don't know if it was the Trinity League. Was it the Trinity League back then?
Yeah.
Okay. So, hey, let's get into the recruiting part of it. You don't get a lot of recruiting buzz. Nevada was one of a few offers that you had. I remember the day before you signed your scholarship to Nevada. I remember Nebraska called me, and they were like, "Hey, can we get Cody to sign?" And I'm like, "He's never even taken a trip." So you end up going to Nevada. What was it about Nevada and Coach Alt that made you want to go there and continue your college career?
Yeah, it was. I think the recruiting process really opened my eyes. Like I said, back in 2009, 2010, every recruiter was looking for a 6'5" quarterback that can throw it out of the gymnasium, and that's just not me. I use different strengths, different abilities to win football games. But I remember when I committed to Nevada, I had Arizona call me, I had Nebraska call me, and I'm a man of my word. And I already committed to Nevada, and I wasn't going to decommit. Like you said, I didn't even take a trip. I never felt like the love was there. I felt like it was,
Correct.
oh, he's going to go here. Let's try and get him here late because they lost out on the guy that they wanted, right?
Absolutely.
But the biggest thing that I think showed me that I wanted to go to Nevada was Coach Alt, like he talked about. When the first thing he told me was, look, you're not going to be a starting quarterback here. You're going to have to earn it. Every other recruiter I talked to was like, oh, we want you to be a 4-year starter. We want this. And basically promising you all these things. But he was saying, hey, we got this guy by the name of Colin Kaepernick. You're going to sit behind him for a year, which I absolutely wanted to do. I want to get that college feel. I think it's very important for guys to redshirt, especially at the quarterback position, because there's so much going on. You got to learn playbooks. You got to learn watching film. You got to learn balancing classwork, social work, like so much. And being a starting quarterback that early in your career can be detrimental. Times have changed a little bit now, but the pistol offense I felt fit me perfect. And watching what Colin Kaepernick did in the NCAA and being able to learn under him, I wasn't 6'6" and throwing out of the building like he could, but I felt like we had similar running styles and we had similar accuracy, and we could find ways to win football games those ways. But I'm very thankful for committing to Nevada because I met my wife here. We live here now. This is home base for us. And the only thing I knew about Reno before coming up was the show Reno 911. And if you know anything about that, it doesn't make it sound great. If you fly up to Reno, you realize like, oh, this place is legit. You got mountains with snow. You got big lakes, rivers. If you're an outdoors person, which I've become, this is the place for you.
Definitely. Hey, so you mentioned Colin Kaepernick. You get there. Cap is one of the best players in the country. He finishes off, his storied college career. He goes to the NFL. You have really, really big shoes to fill. 3 years later, you're thrown for over 9,500 yards. You ran for over 3,400 yards rushing. You have over 100 yards touchdowns combined. So I think it was a pretty good transition from Colin Kaepernick to yourself. What were some of the things that you learned from Colin before he left, or some of the things that you saw him do on a day-to-day basis to help you make that transition so seamlessly from Colin to yourself?
Yeah, I was blessed with having Colin here, and he took me under his wing, and he shared with me when he graduated. He said, Coach Alt said, I don't care what you got to do, get this guy to side because he's going to be the future after you. And when you hear words like that come out of Cap's mouth, it just means a lot more. And watching him, I think I learned how to take care of my body. I think I learned how you can run the ball 20 times in a game and not be as banged up and being smart and delivering the hit as opposed to, taking the hit. Also, I think learning how to be a leader. He was impeccable in terms of what he was for our locker room. We finished that year, my redshirt freshman year, his senior year, we finished 7th in the nation, which is the highest the Wolfpack's ever been. And the hardest thing for me is becoming the starting quarterback the year after that, because now they're comparing me to a senior Colin Kaepernick, and I'm just a freshman, Cody Fajardo. And it became a point where I told the media, I was like, look, my name's Cody Fajardo. I'm not Colin Kaepernick. He's 6'6", black, athletic, can throw the ball out of the stadium. I am 6'1.5", white guy who isn't in his class, can't throw it as far. So can we not stop with the comparison and just let me be me? And I think early on in my career, I was trying so hard to be him and trying so hard to do everything he did his senior year. And I took a step back and I was like, you know what? It took him 4 years as a starter to get where he was. How can I get that in 1 year? And once I decided to do that, my redshirt freshman year was a little shaky, and then my redshirt sophomore year was way better. Even though I was WAC freshman of the year before, numbers wise was way better. And then we had a coaching transition, which always sets a program back a little bit. But I'm very thankful just learning how he watched film, learning how he took care of his body, learning how he was a leader to guys in the locker room. It was very beneficial for me to spend that year as a redshirt. And I was the only freshman that traveled to every game. I had no opportunity to play because I was, fourth on the depth chart, but I was able to see these guys on road trips, how they perform and how they take care of those situations.
Exactly.
So it was very beneficial for me in my career.
Good deal. So like I mentioned the numbers, over almost 10,000 yards passing, almost 4,000 yards rushing. I'm thinking, okay, Cap went high, Cap got drafted. I'm thinking for sure you're about to get drafted. We do your pro day. You have an unbelievable pro day. So I'm waiting on draft day, just like you're waiting on draft day to hear your name called. And I'm like, okay. And nothing happens except for you get a free agent offer to go to the Raiders. What were you hearing on draft day or from your agent as far as where you could possibly be picked? And I know you're talking about another setback, another little bit of adversity that you had to go through and not hearing your name on, day 1, 2, or 3.
Yeah, it's a story I rarely tell, but so it really started at the combine when I think I got scratched off a lot of big boards. Everything we heard was 4 to 6, going into the combine. I performed really well in the combine, but the Dallas Cowboys doctor, I had a bad sprained ankle as a sophomore. So they x-ray, the combine, they do everything. If you have one injury, x-ray, MRI. So they x-ray my ankle and they find a possible Jones fracture in my foot. I've never had foot problems ever. I just went through 2 months of grueling training for the combine, never an issue. And he says, you know what, I have to tell all the doctors about this possible Jones fracture. And if you know anything about that, it's pretty much a detrimental thing for an athlete. So at that point, they were trying to hold me out of the combine. I get on the phone with Jason Bernstein, my agent. I tell him, look, they're trying to hold me out of the combine. I'll sign any waiver release. I don't care. I just need to perform because I knew I was going to put up good numbers. Then sure enough, I go through the combine. I sign the waiver. I'm top 5 in every event. And I have a great pro day. I'm feeling good about it. And we're my agent, I think they were kind of telling him like, look, you're a 4 to 6, but nobody's going to take a risk on a guy that late with, a possible Jones fracture. So I remember when free agency hit, I signed my contract to the Raiders, and in my contract was if I fractured the Jones bone, that they don't have to pay me out, the IR. Wow. So there was a clause in my contract for that. And here I am thinking like, I've never had any foot issues. I've had 2 knee issues. They didn't even care about that. They just cared about this Jones fracture. Nothing ever happened. I'm going on my 10th year professionally and never had any foot issues. So I think it was just one of those things where maybe it was a blip on the x-ray, but it was scary enough for teams not to invest in you and give you a signing bonus, and you waste a draft pick on somebody that could possibly get injured. So after that, it was eye-opening because your window of opportunity is so slim, and then you got an injury history behind it. It gets even slimmer, and it's very tough to overcome something that is not athletically, like you can always get bigger, faster, stronger, but in terms of health, you can only get so healthy. And I think that's what held me back.
Yeah. Just talking about how times have changed, Michael Penix Jr. has had a couple of knee injuries and a little bit of a history of being injured. And it didn't hold him back from going 8th overall to the Atlanta Falcons. So you can see just the way the medical has gotten so much better, and teams are trusting the medical profession and their opinions, that they're like, okay, we're not worried about it. If you sign off on it, I think everything's going to be good. I mean, that's just crazy how 10 years later. So talking about 10 years in the NFL, was there ever an opportunity, 10 years in the CFL, was there ever an opportunity to come back to the NFL to possibly, fulfill that dream that you always had of playing there?
Yeah, my best opportunity was after my 2019 season. I was up for the MVP of the league, and they gave it to the other guy in the East Division. I was up for the West Division. Then I had a huge year, and we had about 9 teams call, and it took me 5 years to get a starting job in the CFL. And at that point in my career, I said, why would I leave? I finally got the starting job in 2019. I have a MVP season. And I'm like, well, why would I go somewhere else where I'm not going to feel that value? I'm just going to be chasing the same thing I just chased for 5 years. And if you know anything about the CFL, quarterbacks get compensated enough where you feel value, right? There's some positions that don't get that value, but as a quarterback, you get that value. So I waited my whole career, 5 years as a backup, just bit my tongue. And for me to jet at the first opportunity as the NFL, I felt like I wouldn't have done myself a service. Maybe if I was a 3-4 year starter, maybe that would have been more enticing to me. And like I said, with 9 teams calling, you could tell that there was some interest. But for me, I just wanted to play football. And I think the NFL dream was so soured by my experience with the draft and with the Raiders. So it's telling me they're going to put me on practice squad, and that finding that I'm released through social media and not even anyone calling me. It's just kind of soured me about the whole situation. Your whole life, you want to be an NFL quarterback. And then all of a sudden you get there and you're like, this is really what I wanted. This is it.
Right.
And to tell you the truth, I probably had the least amount of fun in my football career when I was with the Raiders, because I'm an undrafted guy. Every day you feel like you're on the hot seat. You throw an incompletion, You're like, it's today the day I'm going to get cut. It's today the day I have to relocate and find a way, right? So I committed to the CFL, and I'm thankful, because honestly, committing to the CFL, I've been going on now 5 more years as a starter. I won a Grey Cup as a starter. And I'm considered one of the top quarterbacks in the CFL. And so I'm thankful, and it's plenty of money to manage my family and take care of my family. And that's all you want at the end of the day, is to be able to play football and to make money playing a game that you love since I was 6 years old.
Exactly. Good deal. I want to flip the topic a little bit. What'd you think? I want to go back to Colin Kaepernick. What would you think about Colin's situation? How he stood for Black Lives Matter, took the knee, and they basically blackballed him from out of the league. I'm gonna call a sheep a sheep. That's exactly what it was. Did you ever have any conversations with him about that? And what do you have to say if you did have a conversation with him?
Yeah, sadly, Caps in my relationship just kind of withered out. And I think it was because his phone was getting blown up all the time. Like, okay. Once I came out, going through the combine, I reached out to him. He gave me a lot of great information about how to attack the combine, how to attack the draft process and all that stuff. And then after all that stuff happened, I started getting every month or 2 months to be like, hey, this is Colin's new number. Hey, this is Colin's new number. And then all of a sudden I stopped getting a text. And one day I was like, I'm going to check to see if it's his number. And I text, and it turned green. And I was like, I probably didn't make the cut, but for good reason. That guy his phone was probably getting blown up with a bunch of different people saying all a bunch of outlandish things, I would assume. So you got to change your number just to protect yourself. But it'd be interesting to see if in today's game, if Cap would have done what he did, how much of a difference it would have made, as opposed to, years back when he did it, because I think times have changed so much where athletes are able to use their platform a little bit more and not feel the scrutiny of it. So I think it'd be very interesting. But one thing I learned being a professional athlete, a professional quarterback, is you have an incredible platform. And if something's serious to you and you feel that tugging on your heartstrings, why not use the platform God gave you to express that? And so I'm never going to go against anybody that uses their platform for that. And, if it's, like I said, if it's tugging on your heartstrings, by all means, that's what your platform's for. And some people, it projects their career. Some people, it tanks their career. And it just, I think it all goes to the critics, and it all goes to people's opinion who retain the information, and that's unfortunate.
Yeah, definitely. So, how involved are you with Nevada football? Do you go back and uh, stay in touch with the coaches? Um, Donate to the football program? It's a two-part question. Okay, how much are you involved in the Nevada program? They've had some years struggling, and if you were back in college with this NIL going on, would you have stayed at Nevada after you had your breakout season?
Yeah, those are two great questions. Being back in Reno and here for full time, I'm always back supporting as much as I can. Our season runs made in November, so I miss a big portion of their year. But every year they ask me if when they have a quarterback coming out, hey, can you come throw for our guys at Pro Day? I've done it the last 3 or 4 years, and that's pretty fun for me to throw in front of scouts. These scouts come up to me and they're like, "Oh, you made one hell of a career in the CFL. We missed on you for sure." And it's always here. It's always fun to hear that. But
Yeah,
attacking those pro days for those guys, it's so much better because I'm under contract. I know I'm in a good spot. I can go out there, have fun, and kind of take that high pressure situation out of those guys and
sure.
allow to slow it down for them and use my experience to just allow them to shine. So I always look forward to that. But yeah, so Coach Choate, the new head coach here, I think he's going to do great things. Just the handful of times I've met him, he's a fiery guy. He's a guy that wants to be great in this community. This community wants to back a good football team. If you win in Reno, you get a lot of eyes on you. You get a lot of donors. There's a lot of money in Reno. I think there's the most millionaires per capita in any city here in Reno. So don't get fooled. There's money here in Reno. And so to answer your second question about NIL, it'd be interesting because I met my wife just around the time I had my great season. So, making that decision, would me and my wife be together with our kid now? And, there's a lot of things that domino effect because of it. But I know that when Coach Alt left, I was getting interest from LSU about being their starting quarterback going into my junior year. But at the time, I didn't want to sit out a year and then only play for 1 year. So I committed and stayed to Nevada. But I've always thought about what would happen for my football career if I would have went somewhere else. But in terms of my personal life, I'm so happy with where I'm at. I'm thankful that I stayed at Nevada for 4 years, got the experience I got, and got to be able to play as a 4-year starter. But NIL, one last thing, the NIL, I was the only jersey sold at Nevada. They only sold 17 jerseys, so I feel like I would have made some good money coming out of Nevada. So you wouldn't have to feel like you had to get drafted high in order to provide for your family because you know how it's going with this NIL money. They're just giving it away. And I'll happily take something if they want to show something my way.
One of the things I was sharing with somebody last week was I was down at the Manning Passing Academy, which you've been there, down there with me. And, there was probably about 20 quarterbacks from, LSU in Texas. And I'm like, these guys are all millionaires right now. There was like 20 millionaire college quarterbacks down there. So you should see the parking lot. It looked like an NFL parking lot in Thibodaux, Louisiana. So that definitely has changed the game. I mean, I would assume it would be hard to turn down all those millions that you can make even before you even get to the NFL versus like, okay, I'm going to stay here with my guys that I've been grinding with, that we came in as freshmen together. I'm sure that would be a difficult situation. But I know you, a man of faith for sure, man of faith, and your friendships you value very much. I know it would be, and then your wife, Laura, of course, I know it would be a hard decision for you to leave that situation.
If I could look down the road where I'm at now, and I could see that at that time, I would have never done it because where I'm at now, I'm very happy with where I'm at with my career that I've made of myself. Playing in the CFL, I love playing in the CFL. I think it suits my strengths even better. But yeah, I think the one thing the NIL thing is helping is keeping guys in college and keeping that product very good. Because people love watching college football, but I think, getting controversy, I think there has to be a cap on how much money these athletes can make, because if I'm in college and I'm a big man on campus and I'm making billions of dollars, why would I ever go to the NFL where I'm under way more scrutiny, way more pressure? It's way harder because there's way more talent. You know, you're at Alabama, you're at the top schools. You got the best recruits in the nation on your team. You're going to be steamrolling everybody. You're a first pick in the first round. You're going to the worst team, right? So now you're trying to figure out how to win football games with less talent against everyone else who's got really good football players. So I think they're going to iron out the kinks, and they're not quite there, but the NIL will change the landscape of NCAA and NFL football for years to come.
Definitely. Hey, so I was looking online a few weeks ago, and you and Carson Strong had a youth football camp back in Reno, giving back to the kids. Hey, talk to me about, when you guys put that together, how'd it go? Are you guys going to be doing that in the future?
Yeah, so you're my biggest inspiration in terms of when it comes to that and training quarterbacks. And you know what, I would love for when next time I'm down in SoCal just to talk through some things, because one thing I loved most when I trained with you was it wasn't a cookie cutter thing. It was, you had something new for me every single time, and it was like, hey, let's just try this. Do we like it? We'll see. If we don't, let's scrap it. Sometimes you get these quarterback coaches that is like, okay, you have to be like this, and then you have to be like this. And that's not it. Every quarterback has different arm slots. Every quarterback moves the ball differently, moves differently. So that's something I've kind of transitioned into in terms of training. But in terms of our camp, nobody's ever done a quarterback camp in Reno. That's what I realized being here, for 6 years and training guys privately for 6 years. Everybody has to drive to California, Utah, Vegas, just to get these camps. And so we put on our first camp, and we did it in 2 months. We put it on in 2 months, and we had over 50 kids show up. And I kid you not, after the camp, these parents, these kids said, this was the greatest camp we've ever been to. We had the most fun. We learned the most. Something I always wanted to implement when I wanted to do a camp was football IQ. So we got these guys in the theater. We watched film. We showed how to break down film. We talked about coverages. We talked about concepts. We talked about meal prep, nutrition, how to work out as a quarterback, how to stretch as a quarterback, right? So a lot of things that I think it's easy to just throw guys on the field and be like, hey, throw this ball around, drills, and like, hey, thanks for your money, see you later. But to actually get those kind of things and listen to professional quarterbacks talk about how I break down film throughout a week, how much time I dedicate to recovery, and how much time I focus on throwing in the offseason, throwing in season, and footwork, tying my footwork to my concepts. That's the biggest thing. So we had a very successful camp for planning it in 2 months, and hopefully it's a year-round thing. And I would love to team up with Armed and Dangerous. I think that would be pretty cool in the future to find a way to get you guys out here and make it one big camp where we can draw even more bodies.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I will show up without a question. If I get that invitation to your camp, you and Carson's camp, I'm there for sure. I will cancel anything that I have going on, because I definitely want to be a part of anything you got going on because of our relationship. And you're one of the first guys when I was building this thing called Armed and Dangerous. You were one of the first guys that just, jumped in both feet and say, hey, I'm going to be your piece of clay. You twist my arm here, twist my feet there, and you allow me to do that. So I really appreciate our relationship and everything you got going on. I can't tell you how proud I am of you, for, again, the man you become, the husband, and again, the quarterback. It's great to see you when you're playing in a championship game last year in the Grey Cup. I'm with Ani. Out of Miami, we jumped around on his couch. So now it was really good to be able to experience that with him. And, we're kind of tied together, all three of us, so we're always on the couch like, nice. That's one. But, hey, continued success this year. I know the season's early. I'm going to let you get out of here. I know you're on your bye week. Enjoy your family. But again, continued success. I'm going to wrap this up right now. So all my followers, all my Armed and Dangerous podcast listeners and viewers, you can find this on my YouTube channel at Steve Calhoun, Armed and Dangerous Football, or my Instagram, Armed and Dangerous, or X, formerly known as Twitter, Armed Danger QBS. Tune in next week for another amazing show with another amazing guest.